Hi everybody, so today I'm going to do my 27-week pregnancy update, and this update's going to be a little bit different than what I usually do because this is a single week and I usually do 2 weeks in one video. But I figured this video is going to be extra long because I have a lot to talk about from the past week, so I thought I would just do 1 week this week and then continue with 2 weeks from now on. So, I am currently 27 weeks and 2 days pregnant, so I have entered the 3rd trimester, and I can't believe we are seriously this far in already, and it feels like I still have so much more to go, but I know it's going to go by really fast, and I'm really excited, finally, to be in the last stages of pregnancy. So, the baby is about 14.5 inches, and I think that's from crown to heel, so they're no longer measuring crown to rump, and the baby is roughly about 2 pounds, and when I visited the doctor, and I'll talk about this later, the baby is measuring right on track, right at 27 weeks, so I'm really happy about that. The baby's not too big and it's not too small, so we are doing really good with weight and everything. I think the last time I weighed myself, I still was at 12 to 13 pounds. I haven't gained that much because my diet has changed quite drastically in the past week or so, and again I'll talk about that later. But yeah, so everything is going really well. I'm feeling great, other than this big huge change which I talked about a little bit in my last video. But yeah, in terms of how I'm feeling and how the baby's doing, we're both doing really good, and I'm really happy with how things have been so far. But like I mentioned in my last video, the rest of my pregnancy is going to go quite different than the first 2 trimesters, and even very different from my first pregnancy with Madison. So I'm going to talk about my gestational diabetes in this update because it is a huge transition, something that I have never been through before, something that I've never had to experience, like I've never experienced this before, and it's all brand new to me, and I'm still in the early stages, but now I have tons of information and just a lot to talk about. So I'm going to do a really quick belly shot and get that over with, and then I'll get into the gestational diabetes part of my update. Okay, so this is the 27-week belly. I think it's the same as last week. I don't know, I haven't really been measuring, but still round. I don't think I have any stretch marks just yet, but I can't really see. And it still has that really weird, like, pointed shape to it right here. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's going to go away, but yeah, this is the 27-week belly. Okay, so I have a really long list of notes that I'm looking at, so I'm sorry if I keep looking down, but I don't want to forget anything. I have lots to talk about today. So basically, I took my gestational tolerance test, the glucose screening blood test, on June the 14th, which was last Saturday, and it was the 2-hour test because my doctor wanted me to do the 2-hour test because I have gained a little bit of weight since my last pregnancy. I am a little bit heavier than I was 5 years ago, so she thought that it was a good idea to do the 2-hour test instead of just doing the 1-hour test and then having to go back to do another one in case I were to fail that. So I did the 2-hour test, and the results came back on Monday, and I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. So really quickly, if you don't know what that is, it means you have a really high blood glucose level, meaning that the like gestational diabetes is pregnancy specific, so you can't really get gestational diabetes if you're not pregnant because it's basically caused by the placenta and the pregnancy hormones. So the pregnancy hormones are messing with your insulin, and it's not able to control the level of glucose like it normally would when you're not pregnant. high glucose levels can affect your baby's health and how big your baby is and how much weight they put on while they're still in your uterus, while they're still growing. And a large baby can result in birth complications, and you have a higher risk of a C-section, a higher risk of induction. I'm not saying that when you have gestational diabetes you have to have a C-section or you have to be induced. It's just your risks are now higher because your baby could be growing a lot faster, and it could be a larger than normal baby. So because I have gestational diabetes, I had to go and see a specialist at the hospital where I will be delivering, and they called me with an appointment for Monday the 25th. So on Monday I did go see the specialist, and as soon as I got there I was handed a red folder, and this folder basically contained all of the information that I needed, everything that I'm going to utilize throughout the rest of my pregnancy while I have the gestational diabetes. So here is my folder really quick. The label has my name and my address and my doctor's name and everything, all that personal stuff on it, so that's why I covered it. But this basically has a lot of information about diabetes. It has charts for tracking my glucose levels and my insulin doses and everything. So this is going to be my best friend for the rest of the pregnancy, and I'm going to have to take it with me wherever I go. So when I first got to the hospital, a nurse gave me the red folder and took me to a room and said, this is what you have to do every time you come into the clinic. So basically what I have to do is I have to check my urine, and I can't quite remember what I'm checking, but I have to basically pee in a cup, take a strip, dip the strip in, and then it tests different levels of things, I think like protein or something like that. And then I have to write down the results on a piece of paper. I have to check my weight every time I go in. So I'm checking my weight in kilograms every 3 weeks, every time I go to the hospital. And I also write that down on my piece of paper, and that piece of paper goes into my file where my doctor will be able to see it. So while I was at the hospital, I spoke to a dietitian, and we basically talked about my daily eating habits and what I typically eat throughout the day, how often I eat, how much junk food I eat, if I like to have sweets or not, things like that. And we came up with a daily meal plan. So this is the paper that she gave me, and it just says meal planning for diabetes in pregnancy, and it's kind of like a pamphlet, and it just lists all different kinds of food that I can eat, and different portion sizes and everything. And her and I went through this whole thing, and we came up with different times when to eat certain meals, when to have snack time and things like that, and how many servings of carbohydrates that I can have. Carbohydrates are what affect the blood glucose level, so that's mainly what I have to keep track of and what I have to kind of manage while I'm eating, like while I'm managing my diet throughout the day. I really have to keep a track of how many servings of carbs that I'm having. We went over my meal plan, and she gave me, at first she gave me like a rough estimate: have 1 serving in the morning, have 2 servings for lunch, have 3 servings for dinner, and then have maybe 1 or 2 snack time in between. So we basically just talked about what carbs are, what different foods contain carbs, and what serving sizes are and things like that. So after I spoke to the dietitian, I saw the nurse, and she gave me my glucose monitor, which is what I'll be using to check my blood every day. And she gave me it in a little black pouch, so it'll sit nicely in my purse. I can take it with me wherever I go. This is the AccuCheck Aviva Nano. So this is the actual monitor piece right here. This is the little pen with the needle that I use to prick my finger, basically. And this little container contains all of the testing strips. And then in this little zipper pocket up here, I have all these little needle thingies for this pen right here. So that is what I use to check my blood. The hospital gave that to me, and I'm pretty sure that my health insurance covered that, and I'm pretty sure, like where I live, everybody who has gestational diabetes just gets that for free. We don't have to pay for it. So the test strips and the needles, which are a one-time use thing, are prescribed to me as well, and my health insurance covers that, so I don't have to pay for any of this stuff, which is really good because my girlfriend who has gestational diabetes, she's in her 3rd trimester as well, she has to pay for the needles, which I heard can come up to, oh no, she has to pay for the test strips, which I heard can come up to like $100 for a box. So I really lucked out, and I have really great health insurance. So she gave me the meter, and she basically took me over how to use it, and how to check my blood, and how to refill the needle and the pen and everything. So we went over that. For the first couple of days, I had to check my blood glucose level 7 times a day. I had to check before each meal and after each meal, and I think it was before my bedtime snack. So I had to prick my finger with a little needle 7 times a day to check my blood glucose, and I also kept a food diary just to keep track of what I was eating and how much I was eating, just so that I knew how much a certain food was affecting my glucose level if I were to get a really high or a really low number. So that was the first appointment. I saw the dietitian and I saw the nurse, and so that was the first day. The second day appointment was Wednesday, which was 48 hours later, after 2 days of checking my blood glucose 7 times a day. So I first saw my specialist, and he checked, what did he check again? He checked my blood pressure, he checked my heart and my lungs, and he also checked the size of the baby. And like I said, the baby is measuring right on track, right at 27 weeks, so I'm really happy with that. And he said everything was looking good. I had normal blood pressure, my lungs sounded good, my heart sounded good. The only thing that he was concerned about was that I had really high numbers for the first 2 days, so he suggested that I started an insulin dose. So like I mentioned earlier, insulin is what kind of manages and stabilizes your blood glucose level normally. And when your insulin isn't able to work, like when you have gestational diabetes because of the pregnancy hormones, usually if you have high blood glucose levels, you can manage it by taking an insulin medication daily. So that's what I'm on, and that's what I have been doing. So typically they want to see that your blood glucose before your meal is at 5. And I know that probably doesn't make any sense if you don't have diabetes, if you don't know what I'm talking about. But usually the level that you want to be at is 5 or under before you eat. And 1 hour after you eat, you want to be under 7.2. So all of my numbers for the first 2 days were always high, and that's why they wanted me to go on the insulin. After I saw my specialist, I saw the physiotherapist, and we basically went over what kind of physical activity that I have been doing during this pregnancy, which I'll admit is not a lot. I basically have just been walking when I can and where I can, and even walking is a little bit painful for me. But she suggested that after each meal, I just take a 15 to 20 minute walk, kind of not really speed walking, but rapid pace, not, you know, any kind of like slow, you know what I mean. And she said walking for 15 minutes or so, or going up and down stairs immediately after each meal will definitely help lower my glucose levels after eating. So after I saw the physiotherapist, I saw my dietitian again, and we just went over my meal plan. We looked at what I had eaten, what had worked, and what didn't work, if I was feeling hungry throughout the day, and we went over different kind of snacks that I could have that won't affect my glucose levels. For example, I can have cheese, I can have nuts, certain vegetables and things like that won't affect my glucose, so I can eat those foods throughout the day without without it without raising my number. So we adjusted my meal plan, and I think this is my first day on my new meal plan, and it has gone pretty well so far. I haven't had any issues with it, and I haven't been really hungry. I've been feeling pretty good today. So after I saw the dietitian, I saw the nurse, and this appointment seriously lasted like 2.5 hours. I was at the hospital all morning, and I was just seeing all these different specialists and nurses, and it was just a really crazy day. The nurse is the one who gave me the insulin, and I'll just show you really quickly what the injector looks like. It basically looks like a giant pen. It looks so weird. And it came in this really fancy case, so I can carry it around with me if I need to. So this is what it looks like. Just take the lid off. That's the actual medication in there that I have to take. And the needle just goes right on top up here, which I don't have one on it right now because I don't need it. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So I have to take 2 different kinds of insulin each day. This is the second one, the second pen. I have to use 1 pen for each dose, and this is just what the needle looks like. I can't really show you because it's sealed and everything. I don't need it right now, so I'm not going to open it. So that's what the insulin looks like. I have to take 2 different kinds, and I'm not 100% sure why. I know one is fast acting and one is slow acting, meaning that it will, one of them is meant for all night long while I'm sleeping, and the other one's meant for all day long when I'm up and awake. So I have to take 2 different doses, one in the morning before breakfast, one in the evening before dinner, and I have to take it half an hour before I eat. And this morning, actually last night was the first time I took the insulin, but this morning I had to call the nurse. I had to give her what my numbers were since yesterday, and I had to give her the dose that I was given, and then she kind of looked at everything, and she thought that I needed an adjustment because I did have a high number last night after dinner. And so my dose has been changed a little bit, but other than that, it's still the basic starting dose of 4 units. I'm not quite sure exactly what that measurement is, but I am taking 4 units of each twice. So I know this video is super long already, but I'm just going to go over really quickly what my daily routine is like and what my meal plan is. Okay, so in the morning I have to get up at 6:30. I have to check my blood with my little glucose meter, and I have to take my 2 insulin shots. Half an hour later, I can eat my breakfast, which is only 1 carb serving and 2 protein. And after that, I have to move or walk or go up and down the stairs for 10 to 15 minutes. And roughly 2 to 2.5 hours later, I can have my mid-morning snack, which is 2 carb servings, and then I don't have to check my glucose level then. In the afternoon, around lunchtime, around noon, I have to check my blood before lunch. I have to eat 2 carb servings at lunchtime, and then again I have to walk or do the stairs for 10 to 15 minutes. Around 2:30 to 3:30 is my mid-afternoon snack, which is again 2 carb servings. Ouch, getting a leg cramp. 5:30 to 6 o'clock, I have to check my blood, take my 2 insulin shots half an hour before dinner, and then I have 3 carb servings for dinner. And then again, another 10 or 15 minute walk or going up and down the stairs. At 8:30 to 9, I have to check my blood again, and then I have my bedtime snack, which is another 2 carb servings. So 2 days a week, I have to check my urine for ketones, which I think is a protein, before breakfast and before dinner. And then 1 day a week, I have to check my blood 7 times. So that's before and after each meal, and then before my bedtime snack. So that's basically it. It's a lot of information. It was really frustrating at first. I was flipping out. I was freaking out. You really have to have good time management with this stuff. It was a huge adjustment. Today is my second day on insulin, and it's not as bad as I thought it would be. The injections themselves don't really feel like anything. It honestly hurts a little bit more to prick my finger than it does to put a needle in my leg. So yeah, this whole process has just been really different. It's been really crazy. I'm really glad that I only have one trimester left until my due date, and I have heard of some women who find out that they have diabetes and find out that they had to take the insulin really early in their pregnancy, so they have to deal with this for like 6 months. Luckily, I only have 3 months left to go, and I'm really, really excited for this pregnancy to be over already. It is a little bit overwhelming having gestational diabetes, but anything that I have to do to make sure that our baby is healthy and to make sure that I stay healthy and to maintain my weight and my blood glucose level, I'll do anything that I have to. So I'm really sorry that this was a super long video. It's like 20 minutes already. So if you have any questions or comments, or if you have any experiences, leave a comment below letting me know. Follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, check out my blog, all the links are below. And subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it or found it helpful or useful. And thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I apologize for the long video, but I really wanted to get this information out there. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.